接下来我们讨论的主题呢，转到串流音乐时代下的市场趋势与创作转变。当串流时代下的音乐越来越加的社群化、分众化，音乐产业该如何面对这一波的转变呢？这一次呢，我们特别邀请到的是曾经入围台湾金曲奖第29届最佳新人的严艺格，担任我们座谈会的主持人。掌声！同时呢，有3位具有专业背景的语坛人跟我们分享，当音乐碰上串流时代所做的转变。我们非常开心，除了严艺格之外，邀请到的是陶山 Skot Suyama SKR Presents and Jeff Miyahara J-Pop Music Group CEO and Hitmaker Global Academy CCO， 还有梁永泰 KKBOX 集团执行长总顾问，掌声欢迎他们。好，我将主持的棒子交给艺格。
谢谢。How's everyone doing today? 大家好吗？很开心 very excited to be here today at the Asia Hub New Media Summit. I'm Janice Yan, and I'm your host for today. It's actually my first time hosting, so I'm very, very excited to be here tonight. Today we're here to discuss about music A&R in the streaming era. So as a singer, I think it's very vital for me to understand upcoming trends and how this market is progressing. So I'm very delighted to have 3 speakers, experts in this field today speaking with us. So first of all, can we put our hands together for CEO of J-Pop Music Group and COO of Hitmaker Global Academy, Mr. Jeff Miyahara.
Hi, nice to meet you all. Thank you very much for the introduction.
Thank you. Next, can we have the founder of SKR Presents, Mr. Skot Suyama.
Hello, I'm Scott.
Last but not least, fellow and senior advisor to Group CEO of KKBOX Group, Mr. Terrence Leong.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terrence. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. So the main focus for today is the change in listening habits in the era of new media. So back in the day, we had a lot less ways to discover new information and new music, but nowadays we have new information all around the clock, just at our fingertips. So a lot of people around me, I'm sure a lot of you sitting here today, search up for new music and media on YouTube and streaming services such as KKBOX. So I'd first actually like to ask Terry. So KKBOX has been operating in Taiwan for more than a decade. So have you observed any differences in trends or changes in the last few years?
Yeah, so just to give everybody a little bit of context, KKBOX is one of the first on-demand music streaming platforms in the world. We began in 2004, so it's been almost 15 years. So in 15 years, a lot of things can change, right?
Yeah.
And what's very interesting is the last 15 years included the Web 2.0 era where, you know, we've seen an increase, like social network came into prominence. So I think with content fragmentation happening intensively over the last 10 years, there's been many significant changes. I think one of the most obvious things that I want to point out is one of the things we've noticed in the last 5 years is the decrease or the downtrend of what was traditionally mainstream pop. So I think in a lot of North Asian markets, music has always been homogenous, like we were talking earlier, Jeff, like in Japan or in Taiwan or in Chinese music in general. The main genre of music was homogenous, like it was just pop, right? So that used to be like, say, I think it was like 70%, and that's decreased about 15% over the last 5 years to the point where pop music is taking up, you know, like 50%. But the other 50%, we've seen increases in subgenres, which is not surprising because you're seeing, you know, these basically fragmentation has led to the increase in niche genres and, you know, the rise of independent artists who now have access to tools, self-distributing tools, self-promotion tools. Maybe Scott can share a little bit about that with his story with Ocean. But yeah, I think this is a very exciting period for the music industry because we're finally coming out of that slump, right? Music streaming revenue makes up 50% of music sales in the world. The music industry is going to be like a $20 billion market. And with emerging technologies coming out, I mean, who knows? It could potentially be a $40, $50 billion market. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's extremely exciting to see. I mean, obviously streaming hasn't brought back the volume that physical albums like CDs and cassettes did 20 years ago, but we're definitely getting there.
So yeah, we could see with more fragmentation in listening habits, consumers, there's a lot less attention spent on music alone. So also, I think I do see a huge difference in preferences in music between age groups, and it's a lot more prevalent now. So I'd actually like to ask Jeff right now, as a music producer.
Yes.
Has the popularity of streaming services affected the way in which you produce music? Have you changed stylistically, or has the production process itself changed?
Sure, absolutely. I prepared a few slides. Do you mind if I play?
Yeah.
Great. Here we go. First and foremost, I'm going to move over here. If you don't mind. That's usually me. That's how I usually dress. So
nice.
I'm going to move so I can point at stuff up. I'm half Korean, half Japanese, born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I've had the great fortune of working with many great Taiwanese artists, but also I've worked with over 200 Japanese, K-pop, Taiwanese, US artists all around the world. And thank you earlier about mentioning CD sales in Japan. We still sell a lot of CDs. Our company has moved over 40 million CDs in the past 10 years. Great. Next slide. Some of our global clients, we've got Disney, Apple, Microsoft, Universal, Sony, Avex, thank you very much always, Koropra, Roller Records, and many, many more. And these are just some of the artists that I've had the great fortune of working with. And I think I was always kind of a little more of a quiet person, but thanks to music, that kind of gave me, and thanks to streaming as well too, that gave me a lot of definition onto who I represented, what I represented musically, and what I needed to become as a global citizen and a musician. Great. Girls, I had my own TV show out here as well too, and Boyz II Men, some of my favorite artists. Great. So let's break it down into 3 production changes that has happened since streaming. And so let's go number 1, global production collaboration. So we're seeing a lot more people collaborate. Again, not so homogenous anymore. Boom. Next one, lower production budgets and faster turnover at the majors. So I'll explain that in just a second as well too. And here we go, dynamic changes in music creative decisions based on the market climate. Please guys, I'd love for you guys to chime in as well too. This is kind of a little more centered towards Japan, but I think a lot of this does kind of, does have pertinence in these markets as well too. Great, so global collaborations. These are some of the records that I'm have the honor of being a creative music director for. But for example, NCT 127 Chain, K-pop. I think one of the reasons why K-pop has gone so viral and so huge is because of streaming, because of YouTube, because of those huge platforms. But it's not always the Koreans that are making just all the music. Of course, we have Korean songwriters, but we also have Swedish guys, Japanese guys in that song. For example, the EXO, Electric Kiss. We've got people from Sweden, UK, Canada, America, Japan. Here we go, Sweden, Korea, Japan. I love these one especially. These girls are fantastic. And so you see, in order to have like these huge global hits, I think for Korea and for Asia, for a lot of Asia as well too, is you have songwriters, you have professionals from all around the world that are always engaged in the entire production process of this thing. And so before, when we used to go to like Japan karaoke, you have karaoke boxes here, where it used to say like sakyoku, song written by this person, and lyric written by this person. Now that's drastically changed because it's globalized thanks to streaming. Next one, lower production budgets, faster turnover at majors. I'm not here to explain how the royalty system works, but this is, streaming in a nutshell, right? You've got your master recordings and you've got your publishing, you've got your songwriters. This is really interesting because streaming did change the way that monetization does happen from music sales. But everyone, a lot of times you'll hear like musicians complaining about royalties and everything. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, as Terry mentioned earlier, that the music industry is booming right now. And where is that booming to? That's booming, people listen and discover music on these streaming platforms, and then they go to the concerts. They pick up merchandise. They watch, for example, tie-ins with movies and TV shows with all these fantastic musicians. And right now, we've got a $2.21 billion that's just in the States alone for just concerts. And so the music industry is booming. So I consider streaming to be amazing advertising, an amazing way for the musicians to get out there. But I think there's so many different ways of monetization, but to really discover the true potential of that is to be able to get all these together in 360-degree format. And then boom, last one, dynamic changes in music market, creative decisions based on the market climate. So remember, who's made CDs here? Who's made CDs? Yeah, right? We've made CDs before. I mean, there's some record companies in here, right? It used to take a long time to put a CD out, right? You get your master, and then you send it, for jacket design, and then you check, make sure there's no errors, and then, the big cardboard boxes come, and then you start delivering that. No more. Now we've gone directly here. Now, how long does it take on average just to get a song up online?
Anywhere from half an hour to like a week.
Half an hour to a week,
Yeah.
30 minutes. So just imagine, whatever's happening on the news today in the morning, you can actually make a song and you can actually upload that and have that available to any platform in the world. I think adaptability and speed is so important. And being always on top of the trends is a huge factor to success and a huge factor to how our production styles work. Again, if everyone has eaten apples for the past 6 months and they're kind of tired of eating apples, and everyone wants oranges now. It's like, yeah, orange is the new thing. Like, yeah, orange is the new thing, right? But, because of the company, they said, we've been working on this song for 3 months now, 4 months now. It's an apple song. Let's put out this flavor. Everyone wants it. No, the market, the climate, that's already done. We can't kind of work on these older kind of, the schemes and the older conveyor belts of doing business. And I think this is where the real future's at right here. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Do you guys have anything to add to this?
Yeah, for me, it's been pretty much exactly what Jeff said. In terms of what I'm changing in my music is that ever since streaming kind of connected the entire world. So now Taiwan is not listening to only Taiwanese music. It's
Right.
listening to the entire world. So I had to really step up my game to make my sound a bit more worldwide, a bit more American maybe. And then another small thing that I've been doing lately is really trying to cut down on intros or giving the listener any chance to swipe away, because we live in a culture now that's so swipe up, swipe left, right. So I just want to hold their attention as best I can. So typically a song intro for me won't be more than like 7 seconds now. I don't want to give them a chance to get away.
Right, I do notice that back in the days, songs were about like 4 minutes long. Yeah. And nowadays, if you look at the charts, like the top 10, they're like 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they're getting a lot shorter. Actually, Scott, I'd love to ask you about something. So you've been doing an artist Ocean lately.
Yeah.
So there's so much information, so much new music coming out every day. How did you get Ocean up at the charts in such a short amount of time? It's crazy, less than a year, right? He's
Yeah,
been topping
yeah.
all charts.
Yeah, that's true. So Ocean is our artist at my record company, and he just kind of blew up this last year. And I wish I had some genius sort of algorithm that would work for every single artist that we have, but it doesn't exist. So what we wanted to do, we knew that going viral is kind of like winning the lottery. So rather than just buying 3 lotto tickets, we wanted to buy as many lotto tickets as we could, so we have a higher chance to go viral. So what that means to us is that every single song that we were doing, we want to make sure that it's on all the platforms, make sure we have a music video, make sure that this music video is then chopped up and then put onto Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and just put it on any sort of free platform that we could, because, I mean, there's no point not to. It's free, and that's where all the kids are. So we did that times 10, basically. And the first song that we did with Ocean, it did really poorly. It got maybe, I don't know, I would say 5,000 views in the first week. The second song we did a lot better, maybe got like 10, 15,000 views in the first week. The third song, there was a drop. There was like 3,000 views in the first week. And we kept kind of going over the data, what was working and what wasn't working. We kept realizing that every time we tried to make Ocean something that he really wasn't, like this sort of swag rapper, it was doing poorly, and the audience wasn't reacting. We weren't really enjoying it either. And then we kind of pivoted, and we found out what was doing great with him. And that was when he was kind of connecting his sort of like soul, his heart, his emotions, mixing it with rap, with a little bit of pop too. So he's kind of singing half ballad, half rapping. And he'd called it love rap. And it was kind of like this new genre that we're kind of coming into. And then the fourth single we did was exactly this love rap thing, and it kind of took off. We got like, I don't know, 100,000 views in the first week. And so we knew we were onto something. And so we just kept going towards this direction with him. So the fifth song, a little bit bigger, maybe 200,000 views in the first week. And then the sixth song is the one that's kind of went crazy. And that was, Without You, kind of his biggest song right now. So we're at about like 30 million views total in the past 4 months. So it's just crazy. And then every song that we did,
Congratulations, that's big.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Big round of applause. That's amazing, yeah.
And then, but we know too that we can't drop the ball on this. So we have to keep releasing content with him as fast as we can, basically.
Right.
Because just like we've been talking about, if we're not releasing every month, I mean, that's just a waste. And if we're not putting out a music video for every single song, it's a waste. And if we're not cutting up that music video and putting it onto every single free digital platform, it's also a waste.
So I see like most artists nowadays put out songs as singles. So what do you guys think about album as a product? What is the point of having an album in today's age?
I can start.
I'm sure it's like a
yes.
30-minute. Everyone can
guys
answer
go.
30
Yeah.
minutes. But I mean, Terry, yeah.
You guys go ahead with
Okay,
the album.
I think
I'll jump
an album is kind of for the old traditional way right now. So if you just have 10 songs and you're only going to do, say, 3 music videos,
Right.
that's like buying 3 lotto tickets. You're not going to be have a better chance than somebody who's putting out 10 music videos. So for us, we always wanted to put out 10 singles a year, and then once we have 10 singles, we can just package that into an album and then use that album to get onto TV shows, radio, and the kind of more traditional way.
In Japan, as I said, we still sell many physical copies of our albums. So what we would do is we would have, again, as you said, we'd have this first single, the second single, really strong ones. But we would kind of save those for a lot of the times for the digital markets. We wouldn't immediately put them up on digital. But the real time that we would monetize, as you said, when we have the promotional tours, when we have the concerts, is when we go all in and we drop the album, which would, a lot of times in Japan, we would put the CD out first, the physical versions out first, and then a staggered, delayed release after that onto the streaming markets. Right.
Terry?
Well, obviously, in the last 4 years, we've seen an increase in singles. I mean, I often hear a lot of people saying, I'm going to change strategies and just pretty much put out singles. I look at it pretty simple, like Scott was saying. It's like, yeah, if you're going to buy 3 lotto tickets or 10 lotto tickets, 10 lotto tickets makes an album. That's mathematically, that's just how it works, right? So it's how you plan it out and how you roll out those singles.
Absolutely. I also think that there's one huge component that we need to discuss as well too, which is the monetization from not just the music, but monetization from concerts and merch. A lot of times that goes towards management, and so the record labels, when they're releasing and distributing music, they're really only able, unless you have a 360-degree deal, they're only monetizing from the music. And so a lot of times there will be kind of a little bit of a conflict of interest a lot of times, and especially since Japan is very clear-cut between label and management, right?
Right. So back to the single, putting out 10 lotteries. I actually know that there's some AI involved, a lot of data points that Terry was talking about that could be collected through our everyday use of technology. And there are ways to predict how songs are going to be doing. So how much has that helped in new singles and production of that?
In production?
Production and like
that's
in
a
the
question we
marketing.
can open up here. I mean, like, I think me and Scott have had
Right.
some fairly.
Do you guys have the
contentious
secret answer to hits? Is that what's going on?
No, I wouldn't say we have. But,
Or like the,
I need that
but
algorithm.
I think
Come on.
one of the most important things about the digital age is, there's billions of data points every
Right.
day, and on a platform there's tens of millions of data points every day, right? So mathematically,
Right.
using statistical probability, there are ways that you can track, like, to a fair, like, say, 60-70% degree accuracy
Right.
on how well something's going to perform. That's not just happening in music. I mean, Netflix has their own way of recommending stuff. All digital content platforms have that. It's just understanding user behavior, not just stream counts, not just play counts, but understanding retention and the context of retention and what kind of engagement's going on within a song. Like, for example, like a user, how many times in a week do you come back to the song? Or do you save it to what kind of a playlist? Do you save it to your personal playlist? What are your, what's your behavior? Do you open up the app and start from your personal playlist? Do you go to the charts? You can start to get composite profiles of how people behave, and those data points have really helped us have deeper insight on user behavior. And what I think is, and there are a lot of companies that are already doing this. I think somewhere within the next 3 years, we're going to start seeing A&Ring and mathematics cross. So it's
Wow.
music and math, right? I think that's going to, like, first of all, I don't want to devalue creativity. I don't think anything can ever replace creativity. That's a human thing. But strategy-wise, as a business, how do you deploy this creativity? That's where math comes in. So I think we're moving into a business of music and math.
so do you think they'll help predict future trends? Have you got any tips on that? Or have you observed any trends, upcoming trends that you could share with us?
Upcoming trends?
Yeah.
Well, just say in the last week.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty obvious too. Like I think definitely we're moving into a more indie lo-fi
Right.
kind of, and I think musicians naturally have that radar, right? But statistically, you can see that happening too. One thing we've seen in Mandarin music too is the decline of pop, like I was saying. Not just pop. What's very interesting is in the last 5 years, we've watched the market share of Mandarin songs in Taiwan go down from like say 70% to like 55% now. So it's almost like half. But it's not like all those streams went to Western music. I was telling Jeff earlier, they went to K-pop, and then it's funny that you brought that up because, and actually not funny, it was interesting you brought that up because K-pop has started collaborating globally, right? So like I was just mentioning to Jeff earlier, if you're an alien listening to K-pop and Western music from space, and if you couldn't speak Korean or English, it sounds very similar compared to traditional Chinese pop. And I think a lot of young kids, Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, right, who grew up after Google bought YouTube, like these kids, they're exposed to, their sensory is different, right? So they're looking for that kind of sound as compared to like the homogenous kind of North Asian music markets that we used to have 20 years ago.
So like you said, music is sounding more global. So there's a lot of local artists that are doing very well in their home base, but they're struggling to get out there to reach a wider audience. What tips could you give these local artists?
I mean, I think the common answer that we have here on our panel too is what language are we speaking today?
Right.
You know, I mean, if you want to compete internationally, you have to speak English. A certain amount of it, just enough for interviews, enough for, basic, hi, great to be here in town. Enough just for basic, communication so that your fans can connect with you. And also, you need to have sometimes, you see it a lot on YouTube and I'm sure on other streaming platforms as well too, but if you want your song to hit, people need to be able to search and be able to listen to that song. And if that's in only Japanese, like hiragana, katakana, or in like pinyin or something in Chinese, the American audience can't find that, right? So make it friendly for searching, make it friendly for, for search optimizations.
I noticed K-pop was doing that with their YouTube videos from like 12 years ago, right? Yeah, so that's one of the, I think, reasons why it really caught on in the West very quickly was people were able to find it. Like we all live around a search
That's true.
bar right now.
Scott, do you have anything to add to that?
I totally agree. I think, Gangnam Style kind of made it just proved that you can do a non-English song and have it be the hottest song in the world. Right. There's no reason that a Mandarin song can't do that next, but we definitely have to make it searchable. If you can't find it, how is it possibly going to be the hottest song in the world?
And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Gangnam Style was not in Hangul. It was not in Korean letters. It was actually all in alphabet, right?
Yeah.
So everyone can search that, right?
So other than language, though, like, are there ways that local artists could sell their music? Like, what could they do? How could they market? What apps could they use to get their music out there?
TikTok, Instagram.
So let's talk about the biggest song in the world right now, like Lil Nas X's Old Country Road.
Yeah.
That was a beat made by a 15-year-old producer in his bedroom in Holland. And he said he was listening to a Nine Inch Nails song, which he didn't even know who Nine Inch Nails was, took that sample off YouTube, made a beat. Lil Nas X from across the Atlantic hears it, buys it off goes on YouTube, gets a hold of him, buys that beat for $200. Oh, wow. And next thing you know, you have this global hit, right? So I think that kind of defines where we're going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself, yes. Absolutely.
Definitely.
And also, I've been watching some of the presentations from the AM, and a lot of times, I know Asia likes to do this a lot, but, we're all big corporations here. We're all working with big machines, and so whenever we want to bring our next big content, or our next big artist, or our next big product over to the States, the global market, we tend to use our marketing teams, our staff, our high-profile execs and whatnot. But these guys have had that great success track record here in our domestic countries and not necessarily outside.
Right.
And so I think what what a lot of success stories have shown us, whether that be in the form of Gangnam Style and whatnot, is always it's good to collaborate business-wise as well too, with local partners all over the world. Because it becomes more of a win-win situation. There's more incentive for people from all across the world to actually help your product because they benefit from it as well too. So I really think it is very important to collaborate with your local partners overseas.
Right.
Yep. I'd like to add to that collaboration too. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday about how potentially 20th century capitalism is broken. Now, let me put this into some context. In the industrial age, we had very linear, one-dimensional relationships. So I make a component, I sell it to you, or my telephone, I can call you, and if you wanted to have a group call, that was like, it was impossible. But today, why do people not make phone calls as much as they're on the internet? It's because of this multi-dimensional kind of network that we're living in right now. And this is very interesting. So like yesterday, I was having a conversation with our group CEO, and we were like, what was the value of music like 30 years ago? And we tried to break it down mathematically, and we said the value of music equals the function of music and artists. But today, the value of music equals to the function of music, artists, and fans. And with fans, I mean social variables. Yes. So if you say you take a piece of property, and this property increases, the value of this piece of land is not because the soil got better, but it's because communities were built around this piece of property. So likewise, songs can be very good, right? I mean, but it's not because a song was well written or the beat or the production was very well, but it's also because there are these communities on the internet that are reacting to it. I think that's what Gangnam Style happened was, it was a good song, and a friend of mine was actually works in the publishing company that then he was like, in the beginning he just thought it was going to be like a viral thing in Korea, but it was the world. It was the way the world reacted to it, these social variables that created that huge spike in value for that song.
Scooter Brown, right?
Right.
He was a big part of that, and he was behind.
Exactly.
He was behind, for example, Justin
Justin,
Bieber,
Ariana.
Ariana Grande, all these guys. A Korean guy, being managed and being advised by, a domestic American manager, right? Yeah, totally.
So, I think we're living in 21st century collaboration is definitely nonlinear and non-one-dimensional. And there's so much possibilities for it, whether it be writing, songwriting, like I will Lil Nas X, just buy a beat off the internet, right? Or I mean, Scott,
I've done it.
Like we've been producing out of our house for the last 11, 12 years, right?
Yeah.
Over the internet, working with everybody.
Yeah.
So basically, work with everybody. Yeah.
Work with everybody.
Yeah.
Especially with the songwriters now. A lot of the credits are just tons of people working globally. A lot of music songwriting camps I've been in, Swedish writers, Korean writers, everyone's working together. So instead of competing with each other, work together.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah?
Co-opetition is the new competition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you guys have anything else to add to
That
today?
section, no.
Oh, yeah? Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. Once again, put our hands together for Skot Suyama, Mr. Jeff Miyahara, and Mr. Terrence. Do you have another slide to share with us?
I got one last slide. I think we were the questions. Do we have time? People want to go home? Can we talk for another 5 minutes? Is that okay?
Is that okay? 5 minutes
There's a
more?
last question, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
please.
The
Yeah.
future, was it the future of trends?
Oh, yeah.
Does streaming music affect? Oh, no. Page 4. Page 5. What is the music trend in the world? How can we sell our music to all over the world?
Sure, yeah.
That last one.
That was what we, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Do you mind if I put up a presentation real quick?
Yeah.
So just some cool, exciting things. I know that we had some exciting tech happening earlier as well, too. But let me just show you what's happening here in Japan. Can we get this up? Great, cool. So in Japan, I mean, we've got, as you said, I mean, there's so many different trends going on with indies, and obviously we got our pop guys. On the top left, we've got hip hop, then we got 1OK Rock, which is doing really good rock-wise in the States and worldwide. Nogizaka 46. This is like your Japanese idols. On the bottom left, you got Generations. Right in the middle on the bottom is Higedan, and they're kind of like their more lo-fi indies, kind of like rock band. And on the very far right, again, we've got Denpagumi, which is a Japanese type of idol group as well, too. So much different type of music. What I'm really super excited about these days is, how can music cross over more without necessarily being able to speak the language or, being able to kind of look the part of, for example, like an American or as a European. And so I've really kind of invested a lot of my time and a lot of my energy these days in motion capture and as well as virtual artist technology. So I'll just show you. That's in our Akihabara studio with motion capture, and then we got Monsters Mate and Whitehole. These are more kind of that's more J-pop on the top and more hip-hop on the bottom. And this is really cool technology since Japan is going 5G. Oh, wow. And so this is happening. This is already happening right now. So we did this 5G concert from Akihabara to Shibuya, which is, I don't know, many, many kilometers away. But this is actually done in real time. These are actors. These are actors that are performing in front of a live audience. So check it out. So the actors can see what's happening in the crowd via camera. Yes, great. And then we got time for one more song. This is something that, actually, this is, I think, the first time anyone's ever seen this. Super exciting. I've been spending the past 6 months developing this. And this is a virtual character that I kind of modeled for communication design. A lot of times you'll see people on the internet, trolling each other and really writing negative comments. But I wanted to create a type of communication through music where people with kind of insecurities can open up and say, hey, no, man, that's really cool. Even if you have some certain scars in your life, let's turn that into your power. Let's turn that into your music. Let's turn that into your story. And this is just kind of a little snippet from that. いつも夢の中で Feeling in my heart もどかしさだけが笑えない日々は孤独かけろのように生まれるように追いやるように輝く街はにぎわいそのままで They're so alive 誰もが光放つ Tonight Don't run away Don't run away 待っていて I'll try We love this We love this そびえ立つ自分の影壊してさらなる高みへ We love this We love this 止まっていた時間を超えてゆけ いつも夢の中で心の奥眠る記憶拭えなかった涙一つ針は細くただ鋭く伝えたいことほど遠くごめんねとありがとう届けるために歌う Don't cry Don't cry So far away So far away Thank you very much. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing
The
that.
technology, I mean, right now it's the most exciting time for music. Let's
Oh, for
embrace the
sure.
technology, embrace everything. And yeah, let's all succeed globally.
Let's do it all together. Thank you so much to our speakers today, Mr. Skot Suyama, Mr. Jeff Miyahara, and Mr. Terrence Leong. Thank you so much for being such a great audience. Thank you so much.
好，谢谢一个，谢谢3位语坛人，谢谢。And thank you all for staying here for so late. 那么我们今天的第一天的峰会呢，就到这边告一个段落了。网络科技的蓬勃发展呢，促使新的媒体浪潮在全球兴起的剧烈的变革。